welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be answering frequently asked questions about traveling with the kidney transplant. I am almost going to reach 3 years with my transplant and I've been to several places. So I have tons of experience traveling with the transplant and I've never had a problem. It's always been a successful trip. So if you guys are ready to hear some tips, then definitely keep on watching. But before we continue, I want to quickly introduce myself for anybody that is new here. My name is Cindy Flores and on my channel I share my kidney transplant journey as well as testimony, travel vlogs, lifestyle videos, lookbooks, and so much more. So definitely don't forget to subscribe. And also, if you find this video helpful, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Now let's begin. So a lot of you guys want to know, what do I pack? I actually have a video with more detail about what I pack in my bag. I'll link it down below and I'll put a little card note if you guys want to see. But an overview of everything I pack is basically kind of like a little travel first aid. And what I put in there is basically Tylenol, motion sickness pills, because you never know when you have to get on a ferry or, you know, on a long bus ride or something. So motion sickness pills, Benadryl, Band-Aids, mask, creams, like any type of like fungal creams or Neosporin, just basically anything that you might need in case of an emergency. Where I keep all my things is basically in like this pink pouch, and you could see that in the video like I mentioned before. But basically I pack that, and then for my medications I pack a double supplies. So I pack, for example, if I'm staying there for 4 days, then I will pack for 8 days. If I'm staying there for a week, then I'll pack for 2 weeks. I always like to pack double because you never know what could happen, or if you can't fly back home in time or wherever you're going, what if you decide to stay there a couple days more? It's always good to have extra medication on hand. Next question that I get asked always is basically what the whole TSA process is. So like I mentioned before, I've been traveling with my transplant for a long time now, and I've been to many places and never once have I had a problem with the whole TSA screening. I remember the first time I traveled, I did bring like a note, like a doctor's note saying that I have a transplant, and I did bring like a list of my medications. I didn't have my medications inside the pill container, and I've never had a problem with it. So I brought this paperwork with me, but I never actually had to use it. I just kind of had it on hand. And the reason why I had the one specifically saying that I had a transplant is because the paranoia of mine was always that if I go through like the little like machine, that my transplant was gonna sound like it was gonna alarm, and I can like easily be like, oh well, it's a transplant, you know, that's why I have like another organ. But then I started to realize that it's not gonna alarm based off of that. So now honestly I don't take anything. I just have my pills, and yes, I bring my medication in my carry-on bag because you never know if your luggage gets lost somewhere. It's super important that you have it with you at all times. The next question I get asked a ton is, should I wear a mask on the plane? Yes, you should. I did the first couple times that I would travel. I would always wear my mask, or when I would go out in crowded places or like in a big city where it like you can even feel like the mugginess and the pollution in the air, I would wear my mask. Now since I'm like further on with my transplant, now I don't wear a mask, and maybe I should. I know it's like super important to always, you know, be precautious, but I don't anymore. What I do is kind of analyze my surroundings a little bit more. If somebody's sick, I kind of stay away from them. That's kind of my way of preventing it. Or even washing your hands frequently. That's super important. Next question, when do I take my medications? So when I am traveling to a different country, the times usually change. For example, when I go to Europe, there's like a 5 to 6 hour difference, but I never change my medication time, if that makes sense. For example, if I am somewhere in Europe and 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. are a whole nother different time than it is back home, I always take it at the time back home. So if it's 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. at home, doesn't matter what time it is in Europe, I am taking my medications. For example, it could be 1, 2, or 3, and I will take my medications because my body is already used to that time. So I like to keep my body on that same schedule because I rely on that medication every 12 hours, if that makes sense. Another question that I get asked a ton is basically what are the precautions I take while traveling. So there are many. Some of the few that I like to do is pack a lot of sunscreen. Doesn't matter where in the world you're going, sunscreen is super important. I went to Iceland, I remember, and I packed sunscreen, thankfully, because I watched a lot of videos before traveling there. But in Iceland, it's super cold and you think that the sun isn't like hitting you. But I actually got like tan over there and I had tons of clothes and I would wear my sunscreen. It was cold, but the sun is just so close and like there's more daylight than there is nighttime. So yeah, it's super important to pack a lot of sunscreen and wear it. Also, watching what you eat is super important. Try to eat at places that look more clean. Try to eat things that are kidney friendly and try to stay away from any raw foods. Also, making sure you're drinking tons of water. This is super important. Just anywhere you are, even if you are back home, like water is the key to everything. I feel like water is the key to success with the transplant. Like if you really want to keep your body healthy, you need to keep your kidneys flushed with water. Another thing that I'm very precautious about, and I mentioned this before, is basically try to stay away from people that look sick. Germs travel so easily. Wash your hands. It's super important because one cough or one cold can lead into a fever can lead into infection, and you know, it just goes on and on. So you can avoid so many problems by just washing your hands. Okay guys, so those are my tips for you. This is what I usually do when I travel. I hope you guys found this video helpful. Have a blessed and beautiful day, and I will see you in my next video.